He would have been able to do that before you came if you told him you were coming, but you wanted to surprise him in the middle of the night because you knew you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. Allegedly. Another video already? I'm just as surprised as you are. There I was at the end of last week, having published my first Colleen Ballinger video, feeling good, debating about what to do next. And then, this video from Marky showed up in my recommended, and I was perplexed, to say the least. Because here I was, clinging on to one shred of hope that perhaps Illuminati, Blair, whoever she is, had learned some sort of a lesson from the great humbling that took place for her in May of 2023. She lost a ton of subscribership and followers, her views are way down compared to what they were. She lost massive respect in the YouTube community as a whole, and certainly as a result of all of that, her income has also probably plummeted. All of this due to her own alleged but highly substantiated actions against her friends and colleagues here on YouTube. There were signs of her fighting her downfall in any way she could. Reports of her sending out cease and desists to the people involved. But it's been months even since that report, so I kind of thought things were dying down. I kind of thought maybe she was reconsidering her choices and reflecting and reevaluating everything that had gone on. Silly me, always the optimist. As we could see, just based on the title of Marky's video, this was not the case. And it seems that instead, Blair has decided it is wise to try to make some legal moves against her former colleagues behind the scenes. So yes, everybody, that's right. According to OzMedia himself, it seems that Blair, aka Illuminati, is taking legal action against him to take his home, which is something I have never seen. One creator threaten against another. And I've seen some pretty nasty creator-to-creator interactions during my brief time following YouTube and influencers. Even as much as people sue each other and certainly ruin each other's reputations and their mental health, Blair is the first creator that I've seen to directly attack the hierarchy of needs and try to eliminate the roof over somebody's head, which, by the way, she has already admitted is his home, in her response video called Illuminati Exposed. Let's listen together. Whose home is this?
OzMedia and I had just moved into his newly purchased home in April 2021.
Whose house?
His newly purchased home.
That's right. According to Blair herself, it's Oz's house, not hers. Unless this dispute is somehow over some other house, I don't know what kind of legal action she thinks she can take to take this house away. I'm very curious. On Saturday, September 2nd, about 10 days later, Oz tweeted to clarify that his current legal predicament is not Blair following through with her claimed $1 million defamation case. This helpful clarification does lead me toward a particular hunch that I have had regarding this. I'm not going to tell you my hunch about what this is about because it's far too speculative at this point, but if you've seen the video by Madison at Cruel World Happy Mind about her experience with Illuminati and some of the topics that she touches on in that video, that's the direction that my hunch is going in. If you know, you know. And at the end of the day, it's just a hunch, so I think we'll find out more from OzMedia pretty soon. OzMedia has set up a GoFundMe to help cover his legal fees and his housing fund. The goal was $4,000. They've surpassed that goal, but I'm still going to link the GoFundMe in my description, and I hope that everybody chips something in, even $1, because to be honest with you, as much as I appreciate Oz's humility and not trying to exploit his platform or anything to try to get a bunch of money from his followers with parasocial relationships and stuff, he's working on the up and up here. I just also think that $4,000 is not going to be enough money to cover a legal retainer and housing should he need it. So I hope that everybody helps out and chips in some way. If everybody who watches this video just gives $1 just from my video alone, that could be thousands of dollars. Let's all give a helping hand. But to be honest with you, I'm also getting ahead of myself by bringing up this whole Oz thing. So let me pull it back here and pick back up where we left off. This is the second part of my coverage of the Illuminati story. The last video that I made about this was right before I went on my mental health break in mid-May. To be honest with you, I was this close to leaving the Illuminati story where I left it in that video. I had just gone over the very first part of everything that happened, the Legal Eagle situation and the H-Bomber guy situation, pointing out a lot of questionable behavior from Blair, let's just put it that way. And basically leaving you all with the message that if you watched that video, the same patterns that I pointed out could be found in the rest of her video and didn't necessarily need me to repetitively call out the same thing over and over and over again. I could have just left that video as the only video that I made on the Illuminati situation. But then Blair could not leave well enough alone. Blair could not let this situation be. She could not take the L. She said,
"My response video went over so well that the world just must want more of me."
So she started pulling this shit and summoned me. So today I'm back to hearken to Blair's siren song and continue my coverage of the Illuminati situation. Essentially, I want to pick up where I left off my last video and cover the sad milk situation. I'm choosing not to go the most meticulous route this time because, to be honest with you, the people who were involved in this situation have already done that themselves. They called Blair out, Blair did a response, and they debunked her response. So my job is done by others. So I'm gonna link all of those videos in my description. Just hearing everything from the former Sad Milk members themselves will give you a much better picture of everything than me trying to give you the same information in probably not a shorter amount of time, knowing me. But what I will do in this video is give some summaries, overviews, broad brush strokes of the events that took place, and point out, as I do, the things that stick out to me, the patterns that I notice.
These patterns of behavior show us who Blair really is, how she really treats people, and therefore how she got herself into the situation that she is in today.
Just a reminder, everything in my videos is speculation, opinion, conjecture. I was not there. Please take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. You know that. Also, do not go and spread hate toward anybody mentioned in my video or any of my other videos. We're not here on my channel to spread hate, just to raise awareness, educate ourselves so that we can make informed choices in the future. Finally, while I think this video will be okay for most viewers, I believe there will be a couple of mentions of some heavy-duty mental health topics later on in the video.
And those are very brief mentions. There will be a mild discussion of certain creepy behavior toward children. We will describe the actions very quickly and then mostly discuss how it was handled. That's really what the conversation is about.
If discussions on those topics are difficult for you, it's okay if this video is not for you. It's important to me that you protect your mental health more than watch this video. So at any time in this video, please feel free to go in peace, my friend. For the rest of us who are lucky enough to stick around the entire time, are you ready? Do you have a drink? Do you have a snack? Do you have a cat on your lap? Are you cozy? Are you ready to settle in? Good. Let's dive in.
IILUMINAUGHTII'S Patterns of Betrayal.
I think the first thing that I need to do is a quick timeline recap so that we're all on the same page about what I'm even talking about here, because we're kind of far into the video for people who are not familiar with this situation. My apologies. Basically, over the past few years, there's been a rising popularity for this video essayist / commentator named Blair and her channel Illuminati, where her most popular videos are corporate casket videos where she talks about the evil doings of particular companies, and in general seem to have a pretty wholesome online image, if not, a little left-leaning, anti-capitalist, anti-MLM, that kind of vibe. Illuminati was part of a collaboration channel called Sad Milk that she participated in along with other creators such as The Click, One Topic at a Time, Wonderstruck, and OzMedia. There was also another one called Salty, but I don't think that he's made a statement about this whole thing. Sad Milk disbanded in 2021 after a series of fallings out among the creators who were involved, and this information was known among their own fandoms, for sure.
But when creators departed Sad Milk, they didn't give really detailed, scandalous reasons as to why, because they didn't want to start a bunch of online controversy and kill the project in the wake of them leaving. They kept it cute and mainly said vague things like they left for creative reasons or the channel was going in a different direction than they could follow, things like that. Essentially, the portions of all these various fandoms that were also interested in Sad Milk had no canonical reasons to suspect that there was any drama or any beef or any negativity at all among the collaborators, whether they were still on the team or not.
So with that very broad view of it, that brings us to April of 2023. On April 23rd, 2023 at 7:10 a.m. my time zone, The Click, a creator who's, I believe, from Sweden, tweeted a thread that ultimately served to create distance between himself and Illuminati. Here he says at the beginning of the thread that he wants to clarify he is not affiliated with her and has not been for over 2 years. As he states, he left her and her collaboration group Sad Milk due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events, and that behavior and recent events are about the issue between her and Legal Eagle and H Bomber Guy, which I thoroughly covered in my last video on this situation, if you want to learn more about that. But that is kind of separate from what sprung out of it, which was this Sad Milk scenario. So he goes on in this thread to describe reasons why he and Blair and Sad Milk are no longer are all together. His thread sparked a lot of conversation, especially because it was followed up by similar threads from other former Sad Milk members, such as Wonderstruck, One Topic at a Time, and of course, OzMedia.
We're going to describe some of the allegations against her during the rest of this video, but just as a general overview of what she was accused of, her former Sad Milk men essentially said they felt she was controlling, manipulative, and mean to them, with some even alleging that after they left Sad Milk, she would use alternate accounts, or even her main account at times, to try to dig up dirt on them, spread lies and rumors about them, and generally harass them online, allegedly according to them.
As these former colleagues of Blair told their stories over the span of a couple of days, Blair decided, rather than responding on Twitter where the conversation was happening, that she would make a response video and post that to YouTube, where instead of it being seen by, currently it's 44.1 thousand followers on Twitter, X, she would instead put this controversy in front of her over 1.5 mil on YouTube, although these days that number is a little smaller. So in this YouTube video that's a little over 40 minutes long, Blair responded to what had happened between herself and Legal Eagle and HB Bomber Guy, and then made a separate section, which was kind of most of the video, where she responded to the different testimonials, essentially, from The Click, One Topic. No, she didn't really touch on One Topic, did she? Wonderstruck and OzMedia. Since Illuminati made her video responding to what happened on Twitter,
The Click and One Topic at a Time each made their own response videos, and Wonderstruck made a response video that briefly featured OzMedia at a couple of sections.
And as I said before, they debunked what she had to say for the most part.
Really quick, I need to pause for a quick meticulous moment, because I need to show you something important. So, all the tweet threads happened between April 23rd and 25th. Blair publishes her video Illuminati Exposed on April 28th. The Click publishes his response video on May 2nd, and Wonder's video that featured OzMedia gets published on May 11th. And then, after about 2 weeks of nothing further, on May 27th, Wonderstruck tweets that Blair sent him a cease and desist letter. A few days after that, on June 2nd, One Topic at a Time posts his response video. And just a few days later, on June 6th, OzMedia posts that he has gotten a cease and desist letter from Blair. So just to be clear, even though 4 people were involved in public statements and videos against Blair, only 2 have posted about getting cease and desist letters from her. Fun fact, the video posted by Wonderstruck, where OzMedia is only lightly featured, has way fewer views than the videos posted by The Click or One Topic. Wonder and Oz are also the 2 smaller creators, with smaller channels, fewer subscribers, and either very spaced out uploads in Oz's case, or in Wonder's case, no YouTube uploads at all for over a year before this debacle happened. Compared to The Click, One Topic, and importantly, Blair, these 2 creators have much more disconnected audiences, much lower reach, and less income from social media, though they certainly may have other jobs, of course. But it's just very interesting to me that these 2 people, Wonder and Oz, were the only 2 to receive cease and desist letters. How odd! Why not threaten the creators who are still still active and growing and have fan bases just as big and as strong as yours, Blair. I mean, technically we don't know whether the Click and One Topic got cease and desist letters, but because they didn't post about getting them, which I think that they would, it certainly seems that Blair didn't invite them to the possible lawsuit party, which leads me to wonder, why just the smaller creators, Blair? Another very important thing. During one of OzMedia's short features and wonders video, he said very blatantly that he did not plan to make his own video about Blair, and yet Blair sent him a cease and desist letter anyway. She even sent one to Oz's dad's address, which Oz tweeted about on June 13th. He wrote, "The Illuminati sent a physical cease and desist to my dad's address as well, one I haven't lived at in 3 years, which she would know because I still live in the house we shared. Trying to scare my dad? You're forcing my hand here, something I initially didn't want to do." Again, why did you send Oz's dad the cease and desist letter, Blair? Oz already tweeted about receiving one a whole week prior, so if you were just wondering if he had gotten it, you had your confirmation there on Twitter. Message received. We all saw it. People made videos about it. Mission accomplished, Blair. So why go overboard on the person who said the least about you, who stated he didn't even plan to make a video about you? Only after your actions did he possibly imply that he might do so after all. But he said that back on June 13th, and here we are at the end of August, now it's early to mid-September, and Oz still has not published a video about this situation. And yet, Blair is taking legal action against him to take his home. So he'll be discussing that in an upcoming video. Who knows what else may or may not be included in that. Maybe Blair knows what will be in that video from Oz. She knows her history with Oz. She knows what he's seen. She knows what he may or may not choose to discuss in a video about her. What are you trying to hide, Blair? Yet why did you force his hand? Can you look any more suspicious? Just some of the questions I have for Blair after this very interesting series of events. Let me know your questions, comments, and concerns for Blair in the comments below. But in the meantime, that's the end of this meticulous moment. Back to the timeline recap.
Again, I highly recommend that you just go watch the original videos, the actual source material, to understand everything that's going on here. If you already did, then this video will refresh your memory a bit. If you didn't yet, then I'll be able to give you some highlights through this video, but you're going to want to watch those to get the entire story. I'm not going through every plot point here. Again, today I'm focused on finding and pointing out some patterns that Blair has, and I did that already in my previous video about the Illuminati situation when I discussed the Legal Eagle and HB Bomber Guy part of it, but now I'm talking about patterns that really show up in the sad milk part of all of this. The first pattern is actually one that was mentioned by The Click and One Topic at a Time, and I'm really here to amplify that rather than say that I came up with it, because I didn't. I think it's really worth emphasizing this pattern of Blair's, that she looks at a situation or she looks at information and comes to the worst conclusion from it. An easy example of this is the Legal Eagle situation. As a brief refresher, she got some light information from her team that some elements of Legal Eagle's videos looked similar to hers visually, especially an effect of ripping paper and highlighting words on a page where the highlight moves. And she also got information that her editing team had been emailed by somebody from Legal Eagle's editing team
Asking about these effects.
So from that information, Blair came to the conclusion that Legal Eagle was trying to plagiarize her editing style and sending an editor to go find information on how they could do that. In doing so, she did not keep in mind the fact that ripping paper and highlighting words are extremely common visual editing techniques, After Effects plugins, everybody does them. They're not proprietary to her. She has no copyright over those effects. No, instead, just based on the fact that somebody from his team had reached out to her team, it must have been plagiarism. It must have been stealing. In the beginning of her video, Blair did apologize to Legal Eagle and team for jumping to that conclusion and making such a ruckus about it on Twitter, which she did, accusing literally a copyright lawyer of plagiarism. And basically, this is not the first and only time that Blair has done this. Another particularly poignant example of this is a situation that both Illuminati and The Click discussed about the Click's Discord server. Basically, allegedly, there was an alleged 19-year-old who came into the Click's Discord server and was talking about how he was in some sort of an inappropriate relationship with a 12-year-old. There were some shared mods that both Illuminati and the Click shared. Those mods, instead of acting to remove the guy, went over to check with Illuminati first before they took that action, I guess. So then Illuminati found out what was going on.
And this is where I need to stop for another meticulous moment, because again, we're talking about something important here. This particular issue is very serious, and Blair completely misrepresents it in her video. I'm going to spend some time correcting the details of this storyline, and everything I'm about to say is based on her own video, the Click's video, and One Topic's video, as well as screenshots from all three. Blair's video makes it sound like the Click knew what was going on, ignored this creep in his Discord, and she had to run to One Topic to get the Click on a three-way call with them, where she was finally able to convince the Click to do something about the creep in his server. And then after that call, the Click finally took action against the creep.
The Click and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the Click's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention. In Click's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with. Click and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual, so those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. We used this individual's ID number, and we banned them from the Sad Milk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trust and safety team, who we hope did pursue this further. Then I went to contact Click to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship. When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him, and I called One Topic, who was and still is, to my understanding, one of the Click's closest friends on social media. I got into a call with both of them. It was after this conversation that Click took action and reported and removed that individual from his server.
However, first of all, as most of us probably know by now, this whole issue with the creep in the Click's Discord happened while the Click was asleep because it took place around 2 a.m. in his time zone. Remember, he lives in Swedland. Secondly, Blair herself says that the mods that were shared between her Discord, the Click's, and the Sad Milk Discord came running to her for help, and she worked with them to resolve the issue, but only to an extent.
Click and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual, so those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. We used this individual's ID number, and we banned them from the Sad Milk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trust and safety team, who we hope did pursue this further.
So several things here. First of all, when you say that the Click and his team took no action to immediately ban, restrict, or report this person, doesn't his team include these shared mods that you're talking about right now? So wouldn't it be fair to say that one of the steps that his team took to take care of this issue was coming to you about it, probably because you knew and they knew that the Click was asleep because it was 2 a.m. for him? If they came to you before doing something about this, that makes me think that this was a new scenario for them that they had not encountered before, and they did not know what to do about it. So they needed guidance, and the Click could not give them that guidance, unfortunately, because he was asleep. So they came to you for guidance, and that's not enough. That's not action. That's not trying to do anything to solve the issue. Secondly, Blair and co. kicked the creep out of the Sad Milk server and Blair's own server.
We used this individual's ID number, and we banned them from the Sad Milk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trust and safety team, who we hope did pursue this further.
But I guess she did not tell them to go ahead and ban them from the Click server? Why not? Just go ahead and finish the job. You were already on a banning spree. You knew the Click was asleep and these mods were looking to you for direction and guidance. Since you thought this person was so dangerous, why not also protect the Click's community from him, especially since that is where his creepy rampage started? Now let's say Blair didn't want to tell the mods what to do in someone else's server, which makes no sense. Like, do you think the Click is going to wake up and be like, hey, why isn't that creep still in my server anymore? I liked him. But whatever, let's say you really wanted to respect that boundary, Blair. Honestly, if I was Blair in that situation, if I wasn't telling the mods to go ban the guy from Click's server, it would only be because I assumed that they were going to do that anyway. And spoiler alert, that is in fact what happened, because these are mods after all, and this guy was a creep, and Blair showed them how to ban and report people, so it makes sense, right? And yet, rather than tell the mods directly to ban the guy from the Click server, or assume that they were going to do their job and do that anyway, I think Blair chose to assume the worst instead. Either she assumed this at the time, or now she wants us to think that she did, but I think she assumed that she could not trust the Click and or his mods to take care of the guy in the Click's own server, so she felt she had to reach out to the Click about it to make sure that it was taken care of.
Then I went to contact Click to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship.
Blair does not give us any specifics about this alleged contact with the Click, but instead makes it seem like he just brushed her off. However, according to the Click, Blair did not reach out about this situation while it was happening, despite her claiming that she did. He has no record showing that any attempt of communication was made. And maybe that's because, after being friends with the Click and working with him for a long time, Blair knew what time it was for him in Swedeland, and she knew he was asleep. If that's true, it seems kind of misleading for her to leave that factoid out of her video. And to say that she had to switch tactics with him by contacting One Topic instead.
When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him and I called One Topic.
Sure does paint him as irresponsible and potentially a creep enabler. Sounds pretty malicious to knowingly make that false statement about a public figure in front of a bunch of his fans and yours. But what do I know? I'm just speculating here. Back to the timeline. Fourthly, or fifth, I don't know where we're at in this list as of now. According to One Topic and the Click's videos, the timestamps in Blair's own screenshots, and some time zone math that I did to double check. Blair did not contact One Topic about the creep issue until after they had already been banned for over 14 hours. She waited until 10 a.m. the next day in Colorado time. One Topic describes the call as her essentially asking him, "Do you think the Click would support this creep's behavior?" And One Topic saying, no. Meanwhile, during those 14 hours that had passed, once the Click woke up, he was sorting through messages from mods and trying to figure out exactly what had happened while he was sleeping. It just so happened that while One Topic was on a call with Blair, talking about, "Do you think the Click would support this behavior?" the Click actually reached out to Blair about that situation at what would be 10:06 a.m. Colorado time. So for a quick bullet point timeline recap, using Colorado time zone because there's an 8-hour difference to Sweden. Or Swedeland, sorry. In Colorado time, around 6 p.m. on September 14th, 2020, there was an issue with an alleged 19-year-old in an inappropriate relationship with a 12-year-old going on in the Click server. By 6:14 p.m., that person was banned. Over the next 14 hours, the Click finishes his night of sleep and wakes up to a flood of messages and notifications from mods and others. Clearly something has happened while he was sleeping, and so of his own accord, he starts looking into exactly what happened, talking to people who were there, and feels that he should speak with Blair as well since she became involved. At about 10 a.m. on September 15th, the next day, Blair and One Topic started having a call, which One Topic recounts as Blair saying, "Do you think the Click would support this?" At about 10:06 a.m., the Click happened to message Blair asking what she knew about the creep issue that had taken place and asking her for a quick VC to talk about it. He suggested discussing it, not her. At 10:16 a.m., Blair responded to the Click's message saying she's on a call with OT and can bring him in, and also during that minute at 10:16, Blair ended the call with OT, added the Click to their group on Discord, and started a new group call with all three of them. At 10:34 a.m. Colorado time, Blair sent the Click a folder of files, which she describes in her video with curious vagueness. She goes off on this whole side tangent, bringing up a whole different prior situation that was already over with, where she describes that someone had been sending NSFW artwork to a minor in the Click server over 2 months ago. That situation was in the past, case closed, successfully handled by the Click's mod team, which Blair knew about because of the conversation that she had with the Click about it. But her bringing up this older, unrelated, handled NSFW artwork issue without context in this video, where in fact she's talking about a different Discord creeper issue, really muddies the waters, at least in my opinion. So when she talks about sending a file showing what happened,
I got into a call with both of them and I shared these files with them.
It is no longer clear if she's sending screenshots of the old NSFW artwork that she brought up, or if it's an on-topic screenshot related to the current creep that they were currently dealing with in that call. Thankfully, the Click and OT clarify in their videos that she shared screenshots of the current creep's messages. But boy, is it easy for these two issues to get conflated into one big cloud of implication that the Click's Discord is a very creepy, nasty place. Anyway, she sends that file folder around 10:34 a.m. Colorado time, and about 20 minutes later, at 10:54 a.m. Colorado time, at a point that OT says was near the end of the call, we see a message from OT. He says that just before this, Blair had been insisting that he look at the screenshots that she sent into the call to understand the gravity of the situation they were discussing, which, as a reminder, was already over and had already been handled by mods. And she was part of that handling. She was there. Literally, she was there. One topic was reluctant but complied and looked at one screenshot, and then at 10:54 a.m. he wrote this message into the group: "I've read one and don't want access to these screenshots." Because they're creepy messages from a 19-year-old talking about how much he likes a 12-year-old. I don't want to show the screenshots of those because they are kind of nasty. The three-way call ended sometime between 10:54 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Colorado time, which is when one topic left the group. Now, Illuminati says in her video that only after this call did the clique remove the creep from his server, but thanks to the clique's response video, we know this is false. So again, this must be Blair making statements, assuming, and coming to the worst possible conclusion that the clique would only remove that kind of creep after she corralled him into a group call and, in her words, railed on him for not doing anything. Or, here in 2023, she knows what really happened back then and decided to pretend she doesn't in this video that now has over 1.1 million views. Blair even goes beyond describing this one event in her video.
I am not trying to accuse the clique of pedophilia. However, he cultivated an environment that was a breeding ground for inappropriate behavior with minors to occur, and that's exactly what happened. He allowed this sexually explicit language to occur around minors. He didn't really see any issue with the state of his server. Mark, on your Discord server that had, and likely still has, minors present, you as an adult need to do the right thing and actually pay attention to what goes down in your server or ensure a team will take action against inappropriate behavior. I did what I could, but I wish I could have done more. And I wish that the clique had more accountability of his own server. I hope that he and his current moderation team are holding themselves to a higher standard. Clique, I hope you have learned to not tolerate such behavior in your server. I hope that you have learned from this and that you'll continue to strive to do better. I truly regret ever being friends with you. And I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this.
So, first of all, he already said in his very first tweet about this that he is not affiliated with you and has not been for over 2 years due to your behavior. We all saw that and we remember it, so it sounds really weak now when you do the, no, I'm breaking up with you thing. But secondly, we the audience have a much clearer picture of this timeline now thanks to the cliques and OT's videos and their added screenshots as proof of what happened here. But if someone was just to rely on your word, it really seems like you're flat out lying about most of this and trying to paint this event as something very different from what actually happened. You spent all this time trying to paint the clique's Discord server as a scary, creepy place and trying to paint the clique himself as an irresponsible, immoral person rather than somebody who is in a different time zone and has mods who are being mods. This type of situation is literally what mods are for. But when are you going to stop with this fake moral grandstanding and actually say anything about most of what the clique actually called you out for? Your controlling behavior, your anger and lack of emotional regulation, your vindictive spreading of lies and rumors. But actually, actions speak louder than words, and what you did in this video shouts that we should believe the clique about these things 100%. So thanks for clearing that up.
The way that the clique and OT both describe this incident in their videos, it was like a learning moment, but at the end of the day, they learned. They tightened up the ship, the clique got rid of the mods who acted too slowly, they did what they could do in the moment, and tried to change things to make it better moving forward. However, Illuminati frames this in her video as if the clique was purposefully trying to create an environment that would welcome and harbor petties in it, which is absolutely not what happened and not what the clique was trying to do. And again, it's an example of her taking one instance, one kind of small nugget of information and extrapolating it out into the worst possible version of what it could have been and making that the conclusion she came to. And publicized in her video that now has over 1.1 million views, painting the clique that way. She does a similar thing when she references some old videos of the cliques that just happened to be unearthed shortly after he left Sad Milk, And in these old videos from around 2009, when the clique was a teenager who was just learning English and was learning the cultural context around certain words that begin with R and N and who can use them and in what context, and that he was not the person who could use either of those words, she also took those videos to their worst possible conclusion and said that if she had found out about those videos earlier, then they would have no longer been friends as soon as she found out about them. Again, the conclusion of the clique being such a racist, ableist, bad, insensitive person based on these things that he said when he didn't really know what they meant in the right context of who can use them and when and why. And he was a minor. That's something that you need to end a friendship over? All right, so much for Learn, Grow, Change. My last few examples have to do with Wonderstruck, who also spoke out against Blair, received a long response during her video, and then he made a also long response video in response. I'll start with the reason that Blair fired Wonder. Wonder was one of the content creators involved in the Sad Milk collab channel, but Illuminati also chose to hire him to be the editor for her Illuminati second channel. I don't know, she has like 10 channels at this point. Basically, she was going to do these live streams and he was going to cut out some shorter VOD segments to put on her Illuminati channel. According to Blair, she had to fire Wonder because he never completed any work, even though he had a minuscule amount of work to do, didn't meet any deadlines, and so he had to go. However, the information she was basing that on, again, did not amount to that. And Wonder goes over it in great detail in his video. But basically, she took forever to do those live streams and actually give him the raw footage. When he finally got it, his computer died or his editing program corrupted or something like that. And so he needed IT help to fix his computer or his editing program or whatever. He got his deadline extended by a week. And then between when the original deadline was supposed to be and the extended deadline that was changed to August 2nd, Blair fired him. Even though his deadline had been extended, she still fired him. Didn't give him a chance to fix his computer and do the work. To me, that seems like her jumping to the worst possible conclusion, because the only reason that you would fire someone after extending their deadline would be if you didn't trust them to take that extra week and actually do the work. So you're assuming that they're going to be irresponsible with that extra time that you gave them, and they're not going to actually go do the work and get the computer fixed or get the program fixed and actually edit the stream and do their job and stuff. But that's an assumption that you're making, right? Blair assuming that he was not going to get it done and preemptively firing him before he could fail her. That's a much more speculative example though, so let's get to a more concrete example, the fucking BMW. Now, this story sticks out of both Illuminati's video and Wonder's video because it's just a wild, off-the-wall, just like strange story of this BMW that for some reason Wonder and Blair went into this rent-to-own contract where I don't even know. Here's the thing. Once upon a time, there was a BMW that Wonder was in some sort of a agreement to rent to own it from Blair. Like apparently Oz and Blair went in together on the down payment. No, they went in together on the loan. Blair brought the down payment of like $28,000 in cash. She can stop complaining about the sad milk payments, but whatever. So she paid the down payment. Her and Oz went in on the loan for the car, according to Illuminati, and then Wonder was rent to owning it from her, and then after 2 years of payments, he was going to own the car. At least that part of it is according to Illuminati. Now, after Wonder had started working for Illuminati, editing for the Illuminati channel, moved to Colorado, started living at Oz's house, doing all of this stuff, really committing to life in the sad milk world. He was having a rough time for a variety of reasons. He went to go visit his dad. He drove the car that he was in possession of, that he was in an agreement to rent to own. It was his. He was using it because he thought he had the right to, because he was renting to own it. He drove the car over state lines to go visit his dad. Because of this, plus one other stipulation of their rent-to-own agreement that Blair alleges that Wonder had violated, she went to go take the car back from him. I'm going to play you this clip.
There were 2 outstanding instances that voided our agreement and constituted the repossession of my vehicle. The first was the proof of insurance that Wonder never provided. Insurance that is something federally required of any vehicle on the road in the United States. The second infraction on our agreement occurred when Wonderstruck left the state of Colorado to go back to Austin, Texas. You can clearly see these stipulations in the document on the screen right now. Due to multiple defaults by Wonder in our contract, I felt that I had no choice but to repossess the vehicle, which was my property because I am the one who owned it.
Spoiler alert, Blair, you had other choices. Talk to Wonder. You're gonna sit here and tell me with your big smart brain, with your video essayist brain, with your I know everything about copyright and plagiarism, and I'm writing out a contract for my friend to rent and own a car from me brain, that the only thing you could think of when Wonder didn't show you insurance and drove the car too far was he is in breach of contract. He's gonna steal this car, I guess? That you don't explain what your thought process was other than he violated the contract, which allegedly is not even a real contract according to Wonder. He said that he had some legal minds look at it and say that it's not a legally binding contract. But you said because of those two simple violations, which are as easy as please drive back here, also please show me your insurance card, that's all it would have taken to fix those violations. But you said, no, I need to fly my ass across state lines over to where he's staying with his dad in the middle of the fucking night, go at 3 a.m. and take back the car, which he was in possession of. It technically belonged to her still, but like he was using it. It's meant to be driven. It's a car. Why is there a limit on where he's allowed to drive it? What is he supposed to drive? You had other options besides going in the middle of the night to steal his car, allegedly, show up at 3 a.m., take the car back and all of his stuff that was inside it, and also sit there and complain about the condition of the car because you showed up and surprised him. He didn't know that you were going to come and take the car. So yeah, maybe if he knew, he would have taken out his dirty socks that were in there, Blair. Maybe if you told him that you were coming, he would have cleaned it and made it a little nicer for you. He would have taken it to the repair shop that he had already talked to about fixing the window. He would have been able to do that before you came. If you told him you were coming, but you wanted to surprise him in the middle of the night because you knew you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. Allegedly. Just talk to the guy. Listen, I only know him from watching one YouTube video, but he seems like a nice enough guy. He seems like a reasonable guy. I'm sure you could have said, hey, Wonder, you need to show me your proof of insurance. And he would have been like, oh, okay. He showed it in his video. I'm sure he had it then if he had it for the video. This was not the only option. The reason that this is an example of her taking this to the worst possible conclusion is because these are two very mild contract violations. And the vindictive way that she went about taking this car back, in my opinion, vindictive, when she had so many other options, it reflects to me that she did that based on the assumption, the conclusion that she had to do this because if she didn't, he was going to run off with the car and drive. I don't know where she thought he was going to take the car, that she could not go find it. But that's must be what she thought for her to behave in such a just out there manner and take such an absurd step in this kind of scenario, in my opinion. Finally, also regarding Wonder, because she has a lot to say about Wonderstruck. When Wonder came to live in Oz's house with Blair and Oz, he had his dog James that he brought along, of course, and Blair had her dog Casper also living in the house. So 2 dogs, 1 house, there was some tension there. And again, Illuminati kind of took a few very simple, normal dog owner instances and turned them into Wonder is irresponsible and doesn't take care of his dog. She came this close to saying he was abusing his dog, essentially. It was things like Blair said that when Wonder showed up with James didn't even have a collar. He was so uncared for. And Wonder says in his video, yeah, he didn't have a collar that day, but the next day I got him one. Oh, Wonder showed up with no dog food. And Wonder says, yeah, I had half a bag of dog food because he has a very special kind of dog food because of his sensitive stomach, and I needed to find a way to continue getting this unusual dog food in like the year 2021. So we're mid-pandemic and the shipping is all over the place. You guys remember that? The embargoes or whatever, all the ships were like held up on the East Coast. Like there was shit going on in 2021. Let's not play dumb. Wonder didn't take care of his dog. There was one night he even ran away. Wonder went out to go find him because dogs run away sometimes. You go get him, you bring him back. That happens. He wasn't cleaning up after his dog. His dog shat all over the house one day and he didn't even clean it up. You knew that the dog shat. You left the house. Oz and Wonder split up the cleaning. Oz said he would take the downstairs. Wonder said he would take the upstairs. Wonder cleaned the upstairs. If the downstairs was not cleaned, you gotta talk to Oz about that, honey, not Wonder. She's painting Wonder out to be, again, this worst conclusion, awful dog owner based on these little tiny fragments of just like normal dog life. Like, do you think that Wonder like asked James, hey, would you like to shit all over the house? Well, do me a favor, James. Why don't you just shit directly on top of every cushion? Thank you. Like, what do you think is happening here? So yeah, I really appreciated hearing OT and Click bring up this pattern of her coming to the worst conclusions about every situation, because yeah, absolutely. Once they pointed that out, I could see that absolutely everywhere. And so I wanted to amplify that because that is an important thing to note about somebody, especially when it comes to some things that come up later on, but we'll put a pin in that. The next pattern that I noticed with Blair is that she has a tendency of rewriting narratives, which I'm pretty sure was evident in the first video that I've made about Blair as well. In this situation where there are so many people whose side of the story lines up with each other and is different from Blair's side of the story, it really stands out, you know? For example, in Illuminaughti's video, Illuminaughti Exposed, when she first describes Sad Milk as a channel, as a project, she spends a lot of time complaining about
When the Sad Milk channel was formed, I initially took the lead and I made the channel, I made the Discord, I got my mods from my server to help run the new Discord. I hired and managed video editors to help us produce more content. I was the one who was sourcing the topics and files for each video, and I was the one who had set the schedules for recording too. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into a YouTube channel, and I bore the brunt of it for this project. I managed the schedules and the editors because it was just something that needed to be done. People weren't stepping up to the plate, and I did, and I ultimately bit off more than I could chew. I was doing all of the work, I was doing all of the maintenance, and then I was also having to financially foot the bill to the project.
everybody else. Wonder, The Click, and OT in all of their videos all say that they did help her with the channel, or that they tried to, but she wouldn't let them. Additionally, it's little things like these little power grabs that she does. For example, this is The Click's first tweet in his tweet thread about working with Illuminaughti and Sad Milk. He starts the whole thread off by saying he would like to clarify that he is not affiliated with her and has not been for over 2 years. However, what's hilarious about this to me is that Illuminaughti tries to pull the same thing.
I really regret ever being friends with you, and I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this.
She says in a huff, ending her section about The Click, who has already stated that he is not associated with her and has not been for 2 years. That ship has sailed, Blair, don't worry. Blair gives a similar goodbye speech to OzMedia at the end of her Illuminaughti Exposed video.
Oz, you've been with me through a lot of really intense and personal situations in my life. I just want to say thank you for always being my support through all of my ups and downs. I know that a lot of these personal situations in my life left me very thin and sometimes irritable, and I want to say thank you for supporting me through it and talking me through some really hard times. Your support and your friendship meant more to me than I think you'll probably ever know. I'm gonna miss all the fun things we used to do. I always hoped that we'd be able to reconnect again in the future and mend our friendship. I meant that when I said it to you, and I believed you when you said it back. You were the one person that I always thought we could just get it and pick back up where we left. And unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed. Oz, I miss the friend you were to me, but I think This makes it clear that we finally need to cut all ties.
Oz had already posted this long Twitter thread about her and how specifically he acted as her front runner, bullying and controlling everybody on Sad Milk pretty much. He reads her to filth in this Twitter thread as only he is able to because he's the one who knew her best out of the Sad Milk group, lived with her the longest, worked with her the longest, did her dirty work, essentially, so it seems. I'll link this thread below with everything else, of course, so you can read the whole thing, but he ends it by saying, "Blair, I need you to know that you hurt me more than you realize. I know you're scanning this and having your team read it over, maybe even looking at sending me a legal threat as you parade around to do so." It's almost as if he knows. But I want you to apologize for once in your life and take accountability. Please. Blair, you would rather paint the world red than admit you have fault. And Blair thinks that she is the one closing the door of friendship on him. Honey, I don't think that door was open. I'd also add here that this narrative rewriting also takes place when she does that first thing that we already talked about, of jumping to the worst possible conclusion. Or specifically, when she acts on that worst possible conclusion that she has jumped to, because that rewrites the narrative, that changes the story for the person who she acts out toward because of the terrible conclusion that she drew. Especially when she chooses to publicize all of these terrible conclusions that she drew in this video that has over 1.1 million views on YouTube.
He cultivated an environment that was a breeding ground for inappropriate behavior with minors to occur, and that's exactly what happened. Due to multiple defaults by Wonder in our contract, I felt that I had no choice but to repossess the vehicle. I was doing all of the work, I was doing all of the maintenance, and then I was also having to financially foot the bill to the project.
That's definitely a form of rewriting a narrative. The final pattern that I wanted to talk about today, and there are more, but I'm paring it down to the important ones, is Blair's pattern of stirring up conflict among her own friends, teams, and audience/community. There are a ton of examples of this all over the tweet threads from The Click, Wonder, Oz, and One Topic at a Time, as well as the videos that have been created about this whole situation.
So to give credit where it's due, again, I'm not coming up with this pattern as much as I am echoing it being said by the former members of Sad Milk, Blair's alleged victims. I'll go ahead and call them victims. Also along these lines is the story of Madison, the creator behind Cruel World, Happy Mind, which is a great channel. I recommend you subscribe. If you like my deep dives, you'll like hers. She tells a harrowing tale of her experience with Illuminati, especially as a smaller creator, not somebody who Illuminati knew and interacted with daily. So very interesting, important story. I hope that you go watch her video. I will have it linked in my sources.
Just a few examples. Blair dividing the Sad Milk group into teams. For example, throughout her whole Illuminati Exposed video, she closely aligns herself with OzMedia. She talks about several decisions as Oz and I decided that we needed to blah 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 blah. Particularly interestingly, after Illuminati describes the time that she went to Wonder's dad's house to go repossess her car, which in his opinion was her stealing the car from him. After she tells the story of this vindictive behavior, in my opinion, here's what she says.
Oz, I want to thank you again for helping me throughout this entire situation. You knew better than anyone how much this situation affected the both of us, and I can't express how much your support meant and continues to mean to me. I know he yelled and screamed extensively at both of us. You didn't deserve that, and I didn't either, but I'm still sorry that this hurt you too.
Gross. So there, Illuminati brings in Oz, who has nothing to do with this story of the repossession of the car. He was not with Wonder, he was not with her. He was just at home in Colorado when she went to go do this absurd thing. And she sits there and thanks him for his support, for his help during that time, because it was so stressful for the two of them, because Wonder had driven the car that he had possessed over the state line. It was so hard for them. Like, how does that not drive a wedge between herself and Oz and Wonder? Putting Oz on her team Wonder over here, and bringing to Wonder's attention, in case he wasn't aware, that Oz fully supported her during this whole thing. Oz is not on Wonder's team. Oz is not on Wonder's side. Sowing division, sowing drama, sowing discord, dare I say, among these people. Even if she knows that all of them hate her, she's not going to leave without brushing some dust off toward them, causing some pain between them if she can. In my opinion, that's how it looks anyways. This isn't the cute kind of petty, Blair. This also brings me to the subject of the alt accounts that Blair used, allegedly, based on very... I'll just say extremely convincing screenshots that were shown not only by the Click in his response video, but also by One Topic in his video, and based on OzMedia's tweets describing this behavior. Blair would use alt accounts on Reddit and Twitter, especially one named Doobie Schmertz, to go behind Sad Milk members' back, especially the ones who had left the group, spreading lies and rumors about them, creepshow art style, and allegedly spreading real, true information that only she could have known, so she had to be the source. Allegedly, you know?
A couple of months later, I found out personal and private details about members of the group who left were being spread around maliciously when I was DM'd by a concerned community member who had been talked to. A community member who still messages me today with concerns about all of this. The message was concerning offline information that had not been shared outside of private work conversations, private one-on-one conversations, or had not been shared at all, mixed in with fabrications. It later became clear who that information had originated from, and this was later independently corroborated by a creator who had come forward to me who had witnessed this.
Here's another example from the same video by One Topic.
There were specific portions of the posts on Reddit from the troll account that stood out to me, and intentional phrasing to drive a wedge between Click and I. And One Topic is friends with someone while pretending to be wholesome and good. I think One Topic is a liar and a sham, and has been pandering to our community if he stays friends with someone like this. He is using us for money. It was such specific phrasing and sounded so familiar.
Again, with driving a wedge. But this time, Blair's not even brave enough to do it herself. She's using this alt account to try to do the same thing. The audacity. Some other ways that she has sown drama and discord and discontent among her own people, just as mentioned during these videos. For example, during the whole situation with the Click's Discord server and the alleged petty within, when Illuminati called One Topic about it, she asked One Topic
If he thought
that the Click would be okay with the petty's alleged petty behavior, which I can see that being taken in a few different ways. One could be to sow doubt in One Topic's mind, or another could be to show One Topic that at least she doubted the Click. Essentially, like if OT trusted her and she doubted the Click, maybe he should start to doubt the Click. And mind you, these two were very good friends at the time, still are. Like, why do we need to drive a wedge between these two friends, allegedly? Jealousy. Tiny. Finally, a couple of examples that are so specifically timed that it has to be, in my opinion, a purposeful stirring up of conflict by somebody who knew exactly what was going on and the ramifications that would happen if they did this. For example, as the Click tweeted about in his original tweet thread regarding why he's no longer friends with Illuminati, as he puts it, she, Blair, would turn friends against you or specifically team up with people she knew didn't like you, so she had allies against you, rallying mainly banned, problematic community members known to be liars and conflict seekers. Importantly, when people started questioning that maybe she was the reason everyone left, there was a very convenient updigging of 11 to 14-year-old videos of me. And those are the videos that I mentioned before in which he said some slurs that he should not have been saying. What's interesting is Illuminati addresses those videos without addressing the first half of that statement, the very suspicious timing of when those videos were unearthed. There's actually a lot in this thread by the Click that Illuminati does not really touch on, most of it having to do with her morals, her character, her emotions, and her possible motivations not being very pure. The other example I have of very conveniently timed conflict leads us right back to where we started this video, with the fact that while OzMedia is working on his video, one which he publicly stated multiple times that he was not going to even make, isn't it interesting that the way that we even find out that he is working on a video after saying that he wasn't going to make this video is because of this tweet on August 23rd. Full circle moment. We're back where we started. Oz says, I am still working on my video. However, Blair is taking legal action against me to take my home. I need help with legal costs and will be providing a full and detailed description on how I'm even in this position within my video. And then has the link to the GoFundMe. How interesting. How convenient. How, dare I say, suspicious. The timing. That right when Oz happens to be making a video, technically they don't say what the video is about, but right when they're making that video, Blair pops up to say, hey, I'm gonna take your house, okay? What a time to attack the hierarchy of needs, Blair. It's obviously dastardly, but as a villain, I did expect you to be just a touch more classy. You know, that was going to be my last pattern before we get back into the present moment with Oz and his legal battle, but one more bonus pattern that I'm seeing here. I've said the word vindictive a lot. I've said the word vengeful several times, and maybe that's not a pattern of behavior. It's more of a characterization of all of these actions, but Blair seems to me to be a pretty vindictive person when it comes to her former friends, former colleagues, former audience members, former mods, for all I know. All of this behavior is so vengeful, it's so vindictive, it's so aggressive, it's so fueled by hatred and anger and old grudges about stuff that even if it doesn't impact her, she's holding on to it and using against these people for what? Because they didn't like her? Or because they didn't want to stick around because she was being a lot? Okay? Like in her video exposing Illuminati, instead of exposing herself, she exposes the clique for this old stuff that he said in these videos when he, was a teenager. She exposes Wonder's mental health and his potential self-unaliving note. She embarrasses Wonder with the discussion about his dog and the dog shitting everywhere and how bad Wonder felt living in his old home in Austin, Texas, and all of his friends suck, and all of exposing the fact that he talked about his friends that way according to her, although he refutes that in his video. And honestly, in the situation with, again, we're going back to the clique's Discord server, and there was the potential petty in the server. The clique was asleep because it was 2 a.m. in his time zone. It was all taken care of before the clique even woke up. And then about 16 hours after that whole situation was rectified, the clique, Illuminati, and OT all got together for a meeting to discuss everything and figure out a plan for the future, right? So apparently as part of this meeting, right before the end, Illuminati was insistent that OT should look at the screenshots of what was shared in the Discord server and remind you, this is petty material of some kind. Like, why, if you think this stuff is so wrong, if you want it banned from the Discord server, if you want it gone because it's bad, it's immoral, it's illegal, it's bad, it's wrong, why do you need to corner OT into looking at the screenshots of the bad, wrong, illegal, gross, nasty, petty behavior? According to OT, this is according to OT in his video, he didn't feel like he needed to see it because it wasn't his server, it wasn't his mods, it wasn't his situation. Everything had already been taken care of. They had a plan to move forward. It was the end of the meeting, signed, sealed, delivered. They were done, they were good. And she's like, here, you need to see what happened so you know how serious this was. He did end up looking at one of the screenshots and then said, I don't need to see any more of these. I don't want access to these. And then the screenshot of him saying that in the Discord conversation was used in Blair's video in her favor, which is not how he meant it. It's just mean, man. It's just weird. It's just manipulative. It's just overbearing. It's just a lot. Like, I understand wanting to take seriously a situation that could have gotten more dangerous in your server because there was a petty and there were minors and there was potential for issues there. But once it's already taken care of, you don't need to hammer the point home. And that's where it does feel vindictive. That's where it does feel even sadistic, I would say, to make your friend, according to you, look at nasty stuff that went on. Come on. That's nasty. Put it down. Allegedly. All of this is alleged. It's speculation, remember. So with all of that being said, understanding the type of person that we're dealing with, understanding the patterns of behavior that are going on here, understanding how she treats people who, according to her, are her friends or were her close friends, coming to the worst possible conclusions about them, rewriting the narratives of things that happened in their relationship and in their work lives, stirring up conflict between them, and just generally being like vindictive and vengeful and mean and holding on to old shit that's been apologized for and like shit that doesn't even have to do with her so that she can use it against these people. Like, come on. That brings us back to the most recent developments of the potential legal action being taken by Blair toward OzMedia. So let's talk about Oz. OzMedia, a Sad Milk member, and according to himself, Blair's front runner. OzMedia is the former Sad Milk member who has said the least about Blair. Has he made a Twitter thread? Yes. But he has not made a video, and he was only briefly featured in a couple of clips in Wonder's video, where he gave his perspective on a couple of events that he was present for. In his Twitter thread that he posted on April 24th, before Illuminati made her video, and then everybody else made their follow-up videos, OzMedia says, "What is missing from both Click and Wonder's threads is that fact that I acted as Blair's front runner. Anything Blair needed to say went through me first, essentially act as a spokesman. This was actually a common factor in our relationship. I would always act as a filter to keep her out of drama or from saying things which would be seen as offensive or kindle for a larger fire. I stopped doing this in January, assumingly January of this year, 2023, just a few months before posting this. This does not excuse me from protecting her for this long, but it is the truth. I could take the approach and say I was manipulated, which perhaps I was. I think you were. But I still knew what I was doing was wrong. Both can be true at once. I always did, and it always hurt. It left a huge black mark on my spirit and my ability to feel comfortable in my own skin." Oz's tweets support a lot of the things that I've said in this video and the stories of the Click, One Topic at a Time, and Wonderstruck. And yet he's remained pretty quiet about this whole thing, other than that one tweet thread on April 24th and his participation in Wonder's video in a couple of those short clips that he was in. Despite his general quiet on the matter, on June 6th, OzMedia posted that, for some reason, Illuminati has officially sent him a cease and desist. As he says, "Best part is, she cites parts of videos which I had no part in, and demands I make a public apology." What? Oz has had the least to say out of everybody in all of this. I don't know why, of all people, he got a cease and desist, especially weeks after his Twitter thread from April 24th. Interestingly enough, about a week later, we see this post from OzMedia saying, "The Illuminati sent a physical cease and desist to my dad's address as well, one I haven't lived at in 3 years, which she would know because I still live in the house we shared. Trying to scare my dad? You're forcing my hand here, something I initially didn't want to do." It's almost as if, hear me out here, this is opinion, this is speculation, but it's almost as if Blair came to the worst possible conclusion that a lawsuit might be coming, or due to her vindictive, vengeful nature, wanted to stir up conflict by sending a cease and desist to OzMedia's dad. And in the process, it ended up backfiring. And perhaps this is why we may or may not be getting a video from OzMedia after all. Almost like it's Blair's own fault, if that happens. Certainly seems so. After the scandal of the mostly unnecessary cease and desists, the next thing that OzMedia posted on Twitter about the Illuminati situation is this update from August 23rd. We've looked at it several times already. I am still working on my video. However, Blair is taking legal action against me to take my home. I need help with legal costs and will be providing a full and detailed explanation on how I'm even in this position within my video. I imagine there's some funky contracts going on there, similar to the one that Blair had set up with Wonder regarding this BMW. I hope that this is not the case, but I have a hunch that there may have been some similar kind of co-purchase agreement going on there. Although again, Blair refers to the house as being his. She does not say it's our house. She does not say it's my house. She says it's his house in her own video. Anyway, let's check out this GoFundMe, OzMedia Legal Fees and Housing Fund. I am still working on my video, the cover photo being from said video. The photo is of me. This is something that he had to put in because, as he tells it, the GoFundMe was falsely reported after being up for like a day. And the reason that it was falsely reported was because of personal identifying information being public and available. They thought that the photo was one of these violations, as well as a name, which is now redacted. Let's all put our thinking caps on to figure out what name that might be. Let's read and see if context clues tell us that. So here he specifies the cover photo being from said video, the photo is of me. Then he says, however, redacted is taking legal action against me trying to take my home. Oh, I'm thinking so hard. Who could that possibly be? I don't know. I have no idea. Good thing that name is redacted. There's no way I could possibly find out who that person is. Thank God. GoFundMe's personal identification information system is so strong and is working so hard to protect this person. Wow. I need help with the legal costs and will be providing a full and detailed explanation of what this is, how it's happening, and why I'm in this position within my video. I hope there's more to the video, but I'll take a whole video just on this legal bullshit. If you have hesitations on donating because of the lack of information, the video will be provided as an update with a timestamp once available, as I don't want to divulge too much information while the video is still in the works. Anything helps. I need to secure a retainer fee to allow me to pursue my defense. His defense. So he is being acted against in some way. Like, that makes sense because he didn't say that he was taking action against her. She's taking action against him. But like, get over yourself, Blair. You are not that important. This is shameful, Blair. This is what's ruining your reputation. You doing shit like this, not other people talking about you bad-mouthing them. It's this vindictive shit. You can stop yourself from suing him at any moment. He doesn't have any control over that. That's something you need to do. Get a hold of yourself. Anyway, Oz says, anything helps. I need to secure a retainer fee to allow me to pursue my defense. God bless. Anything over the legal fees will be used to secure my home or future housing if it comes down to it. I really hope it doesn't. I'm going to be following this because this is absurd. This is ridiculous. And again, I'm probably a broken record, but how vindictive, how vengeful, how mean. You know, is she within her rights? Maybe. I don't know. If he owns his house, then I don't know what she can do to take it from him. I just think that this is disgusting. I have seen influencers try to do all sorts of nasty shit to one another, but I have never seen one try to come after another person's property that they own and try to take from them their home, their place of residence, the roof over their head. Miss Corporate Casket over here. Very interesting the way that she treats one of her employees. Don't talk to me about abusive corporations and mean CEOs. Miss, I'm gonna sue you out of your home. Come on. Pathetic behavior by someone who, as one topic said, is profoundly unremarkable. With all of that being said, if you can't tell, I'm heated. I want to try to help get this fundraiser funded more than it is because $5,000 sounds like a lot, but it doesn't go far when it comes to legal fees and housing. I'm going to be watching this situation and how it unfolds. I'm very just disgusted that it's come to this. I don't think it had to. I don't think anybody thought that it had to, except for Blair. I don't know why she got that idea in her head. I'm just pissed. Anyway, again, I'm going to ask you guys, go to this GoFundMe, contribute even $1 from everybody who watches. It's not a burden, but it'll make a big difference for him. And the best part about making a big difference for Oz is that that would really make Blair upset. So, at least for the reason of making Blair angry, let's all go support OzMedia. Donate $1 or $2. Why not? Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Let me know your thoughts on other patterns of behavior that you've seen with Blair. Again, I know I didn't give the most full, meticulous, deep dive with this situation, but I do feel like YouTube is pretty saturated with videos on this whole story by now. So when we're at that point with a story, I really try to just contribute what I can bring that's a little bit different and unique and that hasn't already been said. I don't really like to just sit here and be repetitive and tell you stuff you already know. Again, I'm going to link all of the tweet threads and Illuminaughti's video and the following response videos from that in the description. And once Oz posts his video, eventually, potentially, then I will link that video as well. If I don't, remind me in the comments and I'll come back and I'll do it. My, how the mighty have fallen. Illuminaughti really had a good thing going for her, just like Creepshow Art, honestly. But for some reason, these people exist who just cannot let other people succeed, cannot let other people move on from them to make their own thing and have it go well, cannot stop comparing themselves to others in their field, cannot stop feeling compelled like they need to be the center of attention or be all up in somebody else's business and cause it either to succeed or to fail. They need to have their hand in that pot. It's sad at the end of the day. It's really sad. It's really pathetic. It's really like, I feel bad for Blair when I think of her that way. This is not what YouTube is for. This is not what the commentary community is for. And it's just really disappointing to see. But with that being said, thank you for seeing it. Thank you for watching this video. I'm very grateful if you've made it this far. Please let me know your thoughts, all of them, in the comments below. Also, if you liked this video, I hope that you give the video a like, comment below, let me know what you liked about it. Subscribe to my channel, turn on your notifications if you want to see more from me. I'm also going to be putting out merch kind of soon. I'm in the design phase working with a few people. I'll let you know as soon as that is ready to go, but put some merch ideas below, I did a lot of rhyming there, a lot of O's. That's it. This is wild and I need to go eat dinner. So, quick reminder that everything in this video is opinion and speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. Do not go send hate or harass anybody because of what I said in this video. This is a tough video. This is tough behavior to watch real people partaking in. I think that's the hard part about this with social media is like, these are real people at the end of the day that are doing these things to each other and influencing the way that their audience sees each other, having real world impact on real people's real lives. And it's heavy to think about, it's heavy to consider. So I hope that when you leave this video, you leave that heaviness behind. You treat yourself, take a nice deep breath, and go into your day feeling a little lighter. Peace be with you always. Bye. What the hell? What is happening? Everything in my videos